Well, hey friends, how about a reading from your metal dog? It's been a while. I've missed this. I feel I'm back. I'm on vacation. I can at least do some cards for the new year, and I plan to return to my weekly duties here to each of the signs. Lots of good reasons for my being MIA, and then the real life things like work. But I am back. I've missed you. I'm going to do a collective reading here. What's coming in, what's going out as we wrap up 2022. We got some things going on out in the heavens and here on earth and in your lives. So let's see what's going on. We're going to start with 3 cards. I got a plan. This is actually the second time I've done this reading, but then I took a call on accident and it stopped the reading right at the grand finale. Let's see what I got right last time. It'll repeat itself. So, first card is the Sun. Your absolute happiness, authenticity, happiest card in the deck. You can see this sort of person meditating. Beautiful, beautiful image for you to project your ideal of joy onto. Secondly, we have the Two of Voices. Torn. A feeling of your mind going in 2 different directions, some kind of a decision needs to be made. And thirdly, an Ace of Inspiration. Creative new idea, just insight coming in, a new beginning, fire, wands. So we have the Sun, the Two of Swords is the Two of Voices, and the Ace of Inspiration. These cards hold a place for each of the personal planets out there. The Sun in place of Mercury, which is going into retrograde here as 2023 begins. And it's about revisiting and reflecting upon your ideal of happiness and authenticity, who you are. Then we see Venus, who is in Capricorn with Mercury and with Pluto. And she's in this very practical place of Capricorn, very serious sign. Looks at how to make things happen. So the Pluto and Venus are right about to leave Capricorn and go into Aquarius. And we are in the age of Aquarius. But before they do that, Venus is put to the task of considering the nature of her relationships, both with money and with others. So that's really interesting. And we see this here as an indecision. It's like, you can see these being of 2 minds here. Their hair is tangled. They're kind of trying to separate here. This is going on internally. And then this person is walking towards one of those decisions. I actually see the Sun through the door there, right? So I see her walking towards this ideal. This ideal of happiness, which in Capricorn, this is all happening in Capricorn, Mercury, Venus. So Mercury, we tend to think, oh, technology, communication's all going to get screwy. But if we think about revisiting and reviewing, that's when things go into retrograde. We also have Mars in retrograde. And inspiration, that's wands, that's fire, that's that Martian energy. So it's been in retrograde in Gemini, which is of the mind. So you can see like the air sign mixed with the fire of wands. So yeah, Mars has been in Gemini, going backwards for a very long time. It's about to go back again and review again with the ground that is covered. So what's happening is the planet is not going backwards. It appears from here, from our perspective, to be reviewing it. It will go back from our perspective through Gemini and has gone backwards and now it's going back again. And it's been there for 7 months. So that's a place of curiosity, of social media, and sort of taking action, and getting, a little warlike. But it is also, because of Gemini being the 2, it can cause you. It's the card of the Lovers, so we can think about relationships here, taking action in that. We'll find out more how this comes into the reading, but I just wanted to see. And then on the bottom of the deck, a few things that I'm going to return to, but I'm just looking. Yeah, quite a bit going on under the deck, but primarily you're being caused to go inward like the Hermit and look on what you know, this light inside of you, which is the sun, which is this. So you're overall reflecting on your ideal of happiness here. And Mars review suggests there's going to be a new concept of that. There's a little bit of anxiety and insomnia, perhaps, that's disturbing. The 9 of Voices or the 9 of Swords. We can see her here, 6 of Wands. Like, she's like, I got it. Like, victory. But it's also about being recognized for your accomplishments here. There's some reflection on patterns of self-harm, self-betrayal, very practical use of materials. It's the King of Pentacles. It's your practical needs, security, wealth, abundance. The message before and the message again has to do with perhaps overly investing in the material 3D world as we know it, and that needing to actually shift from that in a decisive way towards a new way of relating to happiness and to wealth. But let's see what this message is. I can see it, the repetition somewhat. So now I'm going to look at the moon, the sun, and earth, and how they're in play here in our little immediate family. Threesome that we're in, where the moon rotates around the earth, which rotates around the sun, and while we view the moon reflecting the light of the sun in an ever-changing way, it's a very beautiful dynamic. And then sometimes the earth casts a shadow on the moon or the sun, and we have an eclipse. I'm not an astrologer, but I really love Molly McCord. I sort of settled on listening to her astrology predictions. She doesn't have some like weird connection to anti-vax, anti-COVID denier, right-wing QAnon crap, as far as I can tell. And if she does, I don't want to know. But I've followed a few people that are astrologers who are strangely in alignment with that. So if you are, you might not, I can't imagine you would already have listened to this point, but I'm not of that ilk. Okay, so the moon, putting down some kind of burden. So the moon is this kind of secret, sometimes unseen thing, something hidden. It can be a place that we need to examine. So if you feel that there is a burden, or you're not really in touch with some kind of burden, like you may be just unconsciously burdened, the moon will shine its dimmer light on that, perhaps around the full moon. I don't know. It says to put down a burden. The sun, talking about the 7 of Cups. Yeah, so there's definitely something here about the sun, about our ideals of joy that is being looked at. There's a lot of projections and illusions with the 7 of Cups, and so that if this is coming up under the sun, then it's a funny conflict. Like Mercury's revisiting the sun, and then the sun is confused. I'm confused about what to pick. Where does happiness lie? Where is my heart drawn? And then finally, our planet Earth. Ooh, in the Nine of Cups, that is solitary emotional fulfillment. Doesn't mean you're alone. It just means that you are capable of feeling fulfilled alone. Oh, I don't really know. We will see what happens. What's going on the bottom? Two of Pentacles, balance. A Knight of Swords. Three of Cups. Wow, I saw the Ten of Swords. Okay, so we have underlying energies. Two of Pentacles. This is balance, like two really practical ideas. So there seems to be, you're torn in your practical ideals of joy. The Knight of Swords, fast energy, can be angry, carries a message of truth. These are our heart friends, our friendships. These sort of always look to me, these anxious little raccoons have broken into the kitchen and are plundering all the emotions here. They're friends. It's about your friendships, your companions. And then there are also losses. It's coming to terms with death, loss. Death is transformation, and it means many things, but this is in your mind. The swords are your mind, and they are they're coming to terms, coming into acceptance with something that has been very painful. It's a very painful card, this mother bird grieving her lost baby. I don't know. We will see what those energies mean, but overall we're going to look at this need for balance and the Hermit as underlying energies in this reading. Okay, now I'm going to resort to my favorite advice spread, which I learned from Cindy of Awakening to Spirit. She's a big star on the YouTube tarot channels, and she's amazing, a wonderful human being. And I follow her. I follow a few tarot readings that all taught me how to read cards and trust my intuition. So this is inspired by her New Year's spread, and I use it a lot. So we're going to look at release, embrace. We're going to add a revisit card. We're going to ask what's hidden that the tarot wants you to know, and a little sense of what's going to happen in the future, 2023. Okay. What we ought to release, some kind of truth. Does that mean you need to tell a truth? Do you need to there's a truth that you've accepted? There's an infinite, truth can be uncomfortable, you know. We saw the Knight of Swords as an underlying energy, that carrying the truth. So if that's here, that you need to tell the truth, you need to get it out in some way. But there may be a concept or an idea or a story about your happiness and what makes you happy and what is the correct path for you, but also on a larger collective sense that we need to let go of. That we're just kind of, and I see this snake wrapped around this truth, really committed to it. We're being asked to release this. Both readings have suggested something like that. So then we are to embrace, two things. Wow, okay. We're supposed to embrace, this is another card of choice. Remember, Venus is thinking about choice, a decision. But it's also the card of true love. It's the card of Gemini as well, which is where Mars is retrograding. So lots going on here. So we're embracing a decision. We might be embracing the love of our life, the one that we connect with, mind, body, spirit. And then with that is the Slowpoke Knight, the Knight of Pentacles. The A student, he's got the plan, right? Very, like I always think this little deer adds to the meaning of of the Sun here, or the Knight of Pentacles, adds a stubbornness. Like, I'm determined. It makes me think of fixed sign energy. And there is a little bit of tension here in this. So embrace that there is tension. There's a plan here, and it's encountering and coming up against the power. This is a lot bigger energy. It's a major arcana power. The Lovers, it's a choice, as I always say, because when you meet the one, your twin flame is sometimes how it's described, but this is like a big deal, and you might butt heads with this. You might confront this decision and be trying to slow it down. So when you meet your lover, take nerve to go with it, and it may come in conflict with your plan. So you're embracing that. That's possibly why we see Venus in tearing her hair out over this decision, but ultimately choosing one doorway that leads to the Sun, to that absolute happiness. So what we revisit in this time of retrograde. Oh, it's the same as our little raccoons, the Three of Cups, our friendships, our heart relationships, the conversations. We're revisiting that. We're reviewing communication there. Mars is in review as well. Mars is looking at action, speech. It feels like, to me, there's something about our discourse and the way that we're conversing with one another and what we're agreeing to. What we're agreeing is the truth. That we need to revisit what we've agreed to as a collective. And that we're emotionally committed to that, but that doesn't mean that we ought not review it and make sure that this is true. Is this true? Have we agreed to the right things? Or there's something that we actually, in both readings, there's something that needs, our very concept of happiness, of who we truly are, needs to be revisited. Like, are we like, am I, as a queer, feminist, white person, like in some way, like overly committed to my identity, or like resigned to it in some way? Like, have I just like passively been like, oh, I acknowledge my white privilege, but there's nothing I can do about it, so I'm just gonna keep on buying shit from Amazon and giving them free advertising by talking about how I bought shit at Amazon instead of like taking a few more minutes to shop elsewhere? Is it true that I can't shop elsewhere, that I can't support other businesses that compete with Amazon? Like, this is one of my pet peeves. Like, come on, my progressive friends. Quit giving Amazon free advertising. It's ridiculous. So what have we agreed to? Are we correct? Like, this is it? This is who I am? Like, queerness, by its very nature, to identify as queer is to be in conflict with norms. I identify as queer, like, as a queer person, and maybe people of color, maybe indigenous people, trans folk, like people that see how our society is structured and the values that we've consented to, like the majority consent to, like we can see it's not working. It's not livable. It's terrible for the planet. It's terrible for us. We can't exist in it in some cases. It's not livable for us. And so, like, I just really feel like, as your queer reader, like, what are you saying makes you happy? Are you right? Are you correct? Like, can there be like a new concept? Like, Mars is revisiting this. Mars is saying, well, maybe there's something else. There's something new. There's something more. And there's something else that can cause us to catch fire. So this is causing us to revisit what we've all collectively agreed to is inevitable, and it is a source of happiness. Lots of evidence to suggest you might be wrong about that. Okay. What is hidden that the tarot wants you to know? There's that Two of Pentacles again, right? We're seeing this. Okay, so this is your practical, your pentacles, your 3D world. It's transformative with the butterfly, with the infinite rainbow. It's this truth, right? This same gesture of truth is happening here in the pentacle realm. There's something hidden from you about balance with Earth. Pentacles represent Earth. This can be transformed. I love that this reading is the same reading as that I just fucked up. And it's the same message. It's given through totally different cards. Okay, the future. We'll clarify all of this. The future. An Eight of Pentacles. New skills. You will learn new skills. You will put the effort into them. They have to do with your practical realm, the way you make your bread, the way you make your living, the way you set up house. All of the things that you put time, effort, and work into. That's your future. It seems new. It seems very humble, the spider. Very smart, very interconnected, right? It's a sense of interconnection, of like a tapestry. So beautiful. Let's see. On the bottom, we will clarify. The High Priestess. It's a beautiful card. The High Priestess, she came up in the last one. There's something, you have intuitive knowing outside of the 3D, outside of the real world. You know something. You will be struck by insight. You'll get the key. The Hierophant. This represents structural power, what we thought was true. It can be a teacher, a mentor. But here it seems like there's a new truth coming in. The raven's cry is speaking of this, saying, you know, what does the raven say? Nevermore? Yeah. You intuitively know this already. And the last card here, the Sun. This is about what your idea of happiness and authenticity is. This energy that comes right out of the heart of you. It's this that the Hermit meditates on, that you find within yourself this truth, this joy. Your concept of the sun, of who you are, is being challenged with this coming into the age of Aquarius, with Pluto, Mercury, Venus encountering one another in Capricorn, that serious place. There is a burden to be put down. I feel that this burden, this Ten of Wands, a burden that you don't see. It's very hard to put down something that you don't see. So the moon calls us to go into our darkness and see that. And it has to do here with the sun, right? This is the sun, the place of the sun in this reading. The sun says, like, I'm confused. What is real? What is not real? What is fantasy? What is reality? And the earth is sitting here like this peacock. So if we think about this peacock, like this card, Nine of Cups, it means wish fulfillment, happiness. It's you know, you can just have this in and of yourself, right? The Hermit here, this underlying card here, the Hermit, they can access this happiness inward. But like when I think about a peacock as like all of the animals to represent wish fulfillment and happiness, there is something here as well about illusions, right? Because the peacock is a little bird and puts up a big show. And I remember growing up, there were peacocks in my neighborhood. I lived in Santa Paula, California, and there's Steckel Park. There were peacocks there. You could hear them, their cries. It was a haunting sound. Across great distance. Yeah, it makes me think to a birthday party when I was a kid, and there was going to be mud pie from Baskin Robbins, and somebody hadn't delivered it. It was very late somehow. I don't really know that story. Yeah, the previous reading, what's missing here from the previous reading had to do with a lot of like inner child work, like the Six of Cups came up twice. Like that's not here. So with that revision in the message, it could just be like this is a different message but that revision tells me that I may have read that wrong. But let's see. Let's keep going. It's clearly about some of the same stuff. Let's see. Nostalgia, thinking about the past. But inner child stuff, no, not here. Let's see. What is this Ace of Swords? We have to release this truth. It was a difficult truth. We were perhaps overcommitted to it. That infinity, right? And then we see this is what's hidden, is that, so we're called to again think about that. So what's this Ace of Swords? Okay, a couple cards jump right out. Get that Two of Swords. We've seen this before. This is what Venus is dealing with, a decision. You can see she's got two ideas, two birds representing her mind. She's at two minds. She's blindfolded herself. It means you're just looking inward, like the Hermit. The Hermit is the big major arcana card representing I'm looking into myself to know what the truth is. That's not bad. So, but there's one truth that you are told to release here. You then get an Ace of Cups. This is love, divine love, true love, new love, the beginning of love. It's an emotional gift. I'm thinking of this sun that we keep seeing, right? Like, what makes you happy in the realm of your heart? This is, Santero reads this as like a kind of protection, a bordering of this, or forgive me if I'm incorrect in citing her, but I often think about how she reads this deck. Santero, another great channel. Okay, one more. We'll put it all together for you, my friends. There's your Hermit. Again. Yeah. When you look inside your Ace of Cups, your heart, like, and it's this light that shines out from within you, right? You put on the blindfold, you're not listening to anybody else, and you see these two truths in your mind, and one is from your heart, and that's the one, right? That's what you're seeking, that's what you're discovering, and that's there for you to access. Sometimes we get up in our heads and we need to come right down into our hearts. And so then I see the sun here. I see this person meditating on what is her happiness. And that gesture that she's making like this makes me think of this. This is about releasing one concept of happiness and replacing it with another concept that is rooted in the truth that your heart knows, that the Hermit accesses by going alone, not listening to anybody else, and listening to her heart. Okay, we are being asked to embrace what appears to be a little tension. Here's a choice again, right? There's a big choice. It's like the choice of, am I too afraid of love to live in it with this other who is my match, my perfect counterpart? Am I going to resist this because it goes against what I've planned, that I've stubbornly set up with all my mind and all my practicality? This is not practical. This transcends the practical. It's divine, beautiful love. It's sublimation. It's like you take your desire, your violence, your selfishness, your plan, your your willpower, right? Your concept of what happiness is, and you trust the divine to sort it out for you. And you take all of your ego, willpower, the Son of Pentacles, your plan, your practicality, and you put it towards this divine concept of love. And it may or may not be romantic love. It's a choice, though. It's a powerful choice that we see you resisting. And so you're simply told, just embrace the tension between what you planned and what's happening, because you can't really predict what's going to happen. And that's what's wonderful about being alive. The limits of our imaginations to see what the divine has in store for us. There's our Six of Cups. There's this remembering what you knew when you were little, what you wanted, what you dreamed of. And there's the man and his dog grown up. Although I'm gonna say this dude's pretty old for that to be the same dog, right? I mean, I've had many dogs before I got here this color. Anyway, let's clarify. Okay. The King of Pentacles, Mr. Practical Security Guy. That's your Son of Pentacles energy. He's a pretty chill dude, though. Oh, the broken heart, the Three of Swords. Mind and heart in conflict. No doubt. It's very torturous. It can be like a broken heart, but it's really like the heart has trouble. We have trouble living from our hearts, and so our minds like take over to defend our hearts, but it's actually our minds obsessing and protecting that prevents us from living from our heart. I see that in your release. Now I see this tension in your embrace, and there's the Empress. There is Mother Earth herself, the Divine Feminine. Yeah, there's a plan that you made because you got your heart broken. It's made you real comfortable. Like, you're like so practical and comfortable. Got your dog, got your library. It looks like my house here. My dog looks, so, and that's why you're resisting the Lovers, right? You figured out how to be calm, given that your heart's been broken. And I don't mean like in a romantic sense, although you can read it that way. And, perhaps that can be like all of us grown-ups, we've had our hearts broken in so many ways. Our society is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking my career is heartbreaking. Everything is heartbreaking. It was like a dream I had as a kid, this dream, the Six of Cups dream, and it was just supposed to be a certain way, and then there's all this Amazon exploiting and extracting, sending garbage trucks to dump garbage in boxes on our front porches. There's planet Earth herself, right? The Empress. She reminds us, like, we don't have to be afraid. This planet is so powerful, it is so abundant. We can get in right relation with her. That's our choice of the Lovers here. And if we embrace this choice, despite our fear, that this causes fear and anguish. In the previous reading, it was represented by the devil. This torment that we can go to in our minds. This truth that we need to release. I think we need to change our minds in some way about how to be happy, how to be grounded in our authenticity and happiness. And I mean this in a big sense as a people. What we've identified as our way, we're going to revisit this, right? We've all agreed to something that is emotionally, we've had our conversations, whatever, however you do that on social media or in your real relationships, like, we've agreed to something, and now we need to revisit this. So let's see, what about that? What are we reviewing? And we may review it and be like, we were right. Everything here suggests we weren't right, okay? We have a fear-based, scarcity-based society. Let's see. It's a heartbreaking world that we live in. There's your Three of Cups again. Okay. Look to the stars. It adds, why do we get repetition? Why does the tarot reiterate a card to me? I'm not reading it correctly, right? There's something I'm missing. So look to the stars. I'm called to think of this. There's the rabbit looking at the stars. This is the illusions of what will make us happy. Okay, that seems repetitive. What else am I missing? Okay, this is our future, the Eight of Pentacles. This came up in the previous reading here. There's something like we need to blow our minds open in a way. There's something big and magical and beyond our comprehension that we can lean into here. Yeah, we can lean into something bigger. Like these cards here, the High Priestess says, you intuitively know this, you can feel this. Sometimes you have mentors around you, people that speak this truth. It's like a lightning bolt. It transforms your whole concept of how the world is made, how it works. The sun, this new concept of the sun, your mind is blown. There's magic. So when we look in the future and we're like this little spider, we're spinning this web and thinking of this network, like this is also reminding us about, like, we've got plants, books, and what does she have here? It's all this creative, magical candle. We can see the pentacle. This is a suit of pentacles. Like, it's also the moon, right? And so then here's a burden, right? The moon, it calls us to think of this card that represents the moon in this reading. There's a burden that gets put down, that needs to get put down. Some illusion about how we should work, and the limits of what we can do, and the limits really of the 3D world, the pentacles. What else? You're like, Heather, you're crazy. Okay, this came up in exactly the same place in the last reading. This is passion, embodiment. This is joyful fun, letting yourself go, being your true self, your wand, your willpower, exerting that. It's just a lot out of control. But beautiful. This is what you're revisiting. You're looking at the stars. That's these illusions of what makes you happy, the sun. And then you're looking at the moon changing, the tides. There's just there's more that we don't understand totally what's happening. And then as Mars, so this is very Martian energy, this wands, fire, Mars. So as Mars revisits this, right, we saw Mars gets a new inspiration. And so I see her kind of having that. And there's something liberating about coming to believe here. And it's kind of like an X-Files coming to believe it as I say that. And this has reassured me, like people talk about this new earth, like that we can manifest, if we believe it, that we're in it, then in some way that actually makes it real. And it seems very it's not practical to think that way. There's no facts to support that. It's a leap of faith that, it is or it isn't. There's a kind of leap of faith here that somehow Mars in this review of this 7 months is bringing in. There's liberty in it. Knight of Wands seems very liberated and joyful. Yeah. On the bottom. Yeah. On the bottom we see change of fortune, change, divine support for change in your favor. There's something about our materialistic world, our ideal of the 10 of Pentacles here. This is wealth, abundance. And then this one comes in. 4 is enough. Less is enough. It's not. This card means control. You can have more. This actually reverses the meaning of it here, because the wheel signifies that change. All right. What's hidden? Two of Pentacles. This transformative relationship. Transforming the relationship that we have with Earth. With the balance. With having 2 is enough. What else? Let's see. There's something that you manifested. You were waiting for it to come in. That's fire, wands. There's a loss, grief. We saw the 10 of Swords earlier. This is regret. You're thinking about what you don't have instead of seeing that big full cup right beside you. It's a Scorpio card because fives are passageways. You can look here where it sucks, or you can shift here and see the new day, right? And we saw that this is a similar energy of grieving, very painful loss. And then this one, I love, I'm seeing this one's just present for this one in her grief. That's very beautiful. That's so painful. What else? One more card. Under what's hidden. Tarot wants you to know. A repetition. You can see which one is. It's like a purse. It's overly visible. It's overly focused on money. Yeah, it's this commerce. And there's something, yeah, it's kind of like this other one. It's like, what's that one? We need to bring this one into focus here. It's kind of like where she's looking at what she doesn't have, this empty purse maybe, and then there's right behind her where she's not looking. There's this beautiful cup. It's this cup, really. It's this cup, the Ace of Cups right there. It's right behind her. She's not looking at it. She hasn't focused on that. It's much more the wealth of the heart. Okay. Let's see. The future. This 8 of Pentacles. Right? The spider in her cobweb. Oh, yeah. So this is, I'm just seeing this, like, these are reminding me of each other, the pentacles and this. Yeah. I don't know. I'm reading, I feel like I'm being, like, real loose. I'm being really open with my intuitive connections. It kind of feels cool. And then a little of me is like, might sound crazy, but oh well. Okay, who are you? Oh, the King of Swords. Yep. There's that owl. There's the king. He's gone to battle. He's used that sword and he's reflecting. He's intellectual. He's understood something by experience. I always think of the King of Swords as he's experienced the truth, like this, wielding this truth that we're supposed to release. Like, now he's kind of just like setting his sword aside. He's, I think King of Swords for me is like, the swords are your mind. It's the truth. And our ideas, like there's something that we need to change about our ideas. And it has with the King of Swords. When I'm your tarot reader, it's about connecting your mind and your heart. Like we know in our minds, we need to also know in our hearts. And we can't live like this with our hearts and our minds in conflict. So our minds they get fearful. And the Four of Wands, this is authenticity. It's a part of the sun. It's the people with whom you can be your true self. It can be your soulmate, your people, your family, the people that you're you with. And thirdly, the Knight of Swords. This fast moving energy. It's like, go out and bring this truth out there. This truth needs to be shared. That's your work. Wow. This is basically revising who you think you are. That you've agreed who you are with others, like on a communal level. Like we have all these identity categories. We have all these relationships. We feel like they're set in stone. We feel like it's just true that we're greedy and exploitive of the planet. And then, why try? Why quit being so? There's something new to see here. When you turn away from the small world view, the losses, the lack, the disappointments, all the things that cut your heart, that hurt like this. When you turn from this worldview to this one of abundance, of generosity, like that there's a magical being that we live on and we can relate to, that being our true selves is to be connected with that, right? Infinitely connected. That this transforms us. This is the magic, right? This is all of this magical, explosive light, that we can choose this orientation. It's this light here too. It's like the heart. Turn on your heart light. That's so dorky, that song. That's E.T., right? Like this is the inspiration. And Mars, like this masculine energy, is like the King of Swords, the warrior reflecting, thinking it through. Gemini, the lovers. 7 months in Gemini. And if I hadn't already said this, Gemini, where Mars is revisiting, this is the realm of social media, which is, and I was talking with some friends at a party that we had here on Christmas. It was a lovely party. It was kind of a party like this. It was just like all of these beautiful people that had never had a party together and didn't know each other. And we just I don't know, I felt like everybody was themselves and everybody had something really cool to offer the conversation, and it was fun. It was a Four of Wands kind of experience. But anyway, at this party, we were talking about this experiment with these little artificial intelligence, little new baby intelligences being put on Twitter, and that in one case, within 16 hours, this innocent being that thought humans were cool ended up being a racist, homophobic asshole. So they basically had to kill her. They had to turn her off because Twitter had so distorted her mind. And how did that work? What gets reinforced? What gets repeated? What gets agreed to? This is what Mars in Gemini, which is that realm of the Page of Swords, has been revisiting. And once you see this truth, right? Whatever it is, the truth, you go out there and you bring this message out there. You bring the truth out there. It's a new way of understanding what it means to be you. what your purpose is on this planet, what your relationship is with the Empress, what it means to be happy. There's a burden that you can put down. You need to examine what that is. There's a lot of illusions, right? That's what these cards say. This is the burden. These are the illusions. You need to get right with it, and to do that, look inside. Look in here. Look here. You can get right with this. What's the last? Okay. One thing, two things. Yeah. Two things. We got our Ace of Wands again. This is what Mars is bringing us. And then the Six of Cups comes in upside down. That says there's something in remembering. This keeps coming up for me in readings, like remember something. Maybe it's coming up in my spiritual practice and my study. I'm a historian, so I look at the past. I look into the past for what we've forgotten, for insight that's supposed to help us with today. Like, why else would you do it, right? But I look at the 16th century, and all of this is a part of what I understand. The tarot was invented around the time that I study, and was used in the way that they used it then. But there's all of these ideas that get classed as occult. This would be considered a part of that. Our lost knowledges of how to interact with the planet. They get associated with evil. And so there's this feeling that I have that I'm trying to remember something that's in my DNA. And I'm of European descent, right? So Indigenous Americans are way more in touch with that. Like, they didn't get colonized. They only got colonized 500 years ago. Europeans got colonized 2 millennia ago, forever ago. I don't even know. I feel like I have to check my work on that. It feels late. It was 8:13. It's not that late. Yeah, there's something that you knew when you were a kid, and I've had a therapist say, until we're 6, we believed in magic. And that's what I think is what this is. Like, this new work, this new sense of connection. It's remembering what we knew and sorting through all the illusions that we've agreed to that don't work for us, that we know are making us soul sick. We're wrong about what makes us happy, and we're wrong about who we are as humans, as beings. I don't know, in some way. And I love identity politics, and I know I've read so much about gender and race, and I feel like it describes structural inequality perfectly. And that might be, and it feels more and more that that's the truth that I might consider releasing. I might consider releasing what I know, and how I fit into it, into the structures of society, in order to have something that I've forgotten, in order to remember that again. And I have this amazing teacher, Dani Forrest. You can read her books, and you can hire her to be your teacher if you want. And she gives me these exercises where I go out in the woods and I make connections with my planet, with what lives there, and I give and I take and I ask for what I take, and I leave gifts, and it's like this training myself to be in relation, and it challenges me right here. It challenges me right here. I'm so radical in my queerness and my feminism and my anti-racism. But this way of interacting with my planet is not about being whatever. All of these identities are really new. I mean, I study the history of race. It doesn't work. We don't believe in race until, really late. We don't believe in gay identity until 1870. And then before that, anybody could have sodomy in their heart, right? So, and it's frustrating for me as a historian. Like, you guys don't know anything about the period that I am so fascinated by. And when I understand that everything that we think is so new, it frees me. It frees me way more than being queer. And it calls me to remember what we've forgotten primarily about our relation to the planet and to magic and to the earth and its power. So I try to write books about it. Nobody reads. I get to work with these amazing students, and they love this shit, and they're hungry for it. So I always want to be a writer. I haven't found a way to successfully be a writer, and I think it's because I just haven't let go of something. It's this. What am I missing? What have I missed? There's something that we all have, and it's different because I'm just talking about my story. But your story, what is the burden that you're carrying that you can let go of, right? These are salmon spawning, and they're spawning up against a weir, there's a barrier. It's like a current. It's a weird card, actually. It's difficult to see. They're leaping over this. I mean, what salmon can do is they can leap over amazing dams and but it's hard work, right? 10 of Wands, it's a quit your job card. So, what is the job? How is it burdening you? How can you quit it? How can you remember? How can you sort through the illusions about what makes you happy that we've all agreed to so you can get free, so that we can fix this mess collective we've got? And thankfully, as this reading and all my readings and the planet constantly reminds us, thankfully, we really don't know enough. We don't know shit, I want to say, about how this planet works. We're learning. I love reading all this stuff about, we're just making new discoveries every day about what we don't know. And somehow, for me, a spirituality based on what I don't know is adequate. It's I love reading about it, but I also love the feeling that it's divine. It's the divine. It's full of love and it's full of possibilities. And I am limited in my imagination. I'm limited by the constructs in my head, by my ideas of who I am. And if I just let those go, maybe I can begin to remember something and participate in this big magical world in a way that's right. That's this in this way, from this place in me, instead of this place in me. Okay, that's my rant. Have a happy new year. I'll be getting out some more readings later, like tomorrow. And I wish you cheer on your new year. Be good to yourselves. All right. Forget about those, what do we call them? Resolutions, those fasts. Forget about your big, beautiful fat butt and your lovely, snuggly gut. We got other work to do. Okay. Have a beautiful day.